All right, let's get started. Go. All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you. Okay, thank you for being here for another lecture that I'm doing here at HCA, Hebrew Congregation of Atlanta. My research, evangelism, that's what Minister Khan calls it, ministry, is called Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, but I'm also here in partnership with HCA, all right? This is where I go, this is my family, and this is the man of the house, Minister Milton Carnes. So, I wanted to do this today. I wasn't even going to do this. I was just going to freestyle something today. But I said, you know what? It came to me. I said, let me just put this together real quick. So I did this last night, and I said, let me throw a couple of slides together, and let me get into something very potent because Minister Karn's video was interesting, and I have a lecture coming up. So I said, well, let me just preempt that with this. Now, has anybody ever heard this before? That phrase that all sins is equal. It doesn't matter what you do. Your sin is just as bad as mine. You know, and this is not a knock to anybody in the Christian community because I have a lot of friends, family, and associates in the Christian community. But unfortunately, they say this all the time. All sins is equal. And then they try to throw James in there and say, if you're offending one, you're offending all. Not even understanding what the actual language is saying. And when you look at it in the Syriac, it actually conveys a different Hebraic sense. It's not the Western Hellenistic sense that we're normally attributed to because we read in the Koine Greek. But it gives another sense. But we'll go into that another time. But I hear this a lot, and I said to myself, let me address this. Let me address this, all sins are created equal, because apparently whoever's making these accusations, or whoever's making these allegations, whoever's making these claims, do not know Torah. Torah is the foundation that everything is founded on, and the house is built on the foundation. Do you understand? So if you do not know Torah, then your mindset in regards to reading the text is going to be from an external vantage point that was not initially set up by those who are on the inside who created it. It was a Hebrew author to a Hebrew audience. It wasn't a Gentile author to a Hebrew audience. It wasn't a Gentile author to a Gentile audience. It was a Hebrew author to Hebrew audiences, and if Gentiles wanted to come in, they were allowed to do so, but they had to sit under a Hebrew Israelite. Okay? So whenever we look at the text, you have to go to Torah, because there's a lot of people that say, oh, the New Testament, or the Brit Hadashah, or I call the reconstructed Brit Hadashah, is a work of Greeks. Flavian dynasty made it. It's made up. It's not real. It's not even Hebraic. You hear people say these things. I address that all the time. But let's move forward. Reference scripture. Somebody read that for me. If y'all can see it. If not, then I'll just have to read it. Yeah, read it.
All right. First, Yochanan 5:16.
What is that? And Yochanan is?
John.
Keep going. Let's go.
If anyone sees his brother committing a sin.
Slow down. If anyone sees his brother committing a sin, go ahead.
G 266.
So you can skip that. I'll deal with that.
Not leading to death.
Not leading to death. Keep going.
He shall ask, and Elohim.
He shall ask, and Elohim
will give for him life to those who commit sin, not leading.
Wait. He shall ask, and Elohim will for him. I think I was there right. He shall ask, and Elohim will for him give life. Elohim will for him give life to those. The one who sees a brother committing a sin. The Most High will give life to those who commit sin, not leading to death. It's specific. Come on, go ahead.
There is a sin.
There is a sin leading to death. Keep reading.
I do not say that.
I do not say that.
He should make request for this.
Did y'all hear that? I didn't say it. Okay, keep reading.
All unrighteousness.
All unrighteousness. Some unrighteousness.
All unrighteousness.
Part-time unrighteousness.
All unrighteousness.
Weekend unrighteousness. Just the clubs.
All unrighteousness.
Go ahead.
Is sin.
Go ahead, keep going.
And there is a sin not leading to death.
Okay, so now we have distinctions being made here. And this is from where? The Old and New Testament. The Tanakh or the Brit Hadashah? The New Testament. Okay, keep going.
All right, we know that one who was born of Elohim.
We know that one who was born of Elohim
sins.
No one who was born of Elohim sins. Go ahead.
But he who was born of Elohim keeps him.
And
the evil one does not touch him.
Wait, hold on. We know that no one who was born of Elohim sins. Could that be possible? Interesting. Or is there another implication? See, when you look at the text, you have to do what's called contextual analysis. Contextual analysis, you have to read the entire context of the passage. Sometimes a verse before, sometimes a verse after, sometimes a whole chapter, sometimes a whole book. To get context. The context is the first two verses that we just read. You're going to see something. So here we have G266, which is hamartia or hamartia. And that's a feminine noun derived from A. A is a negative privative. That means when you, in Greek, when you prefix alpha, it's called alpha privative, to a word, it gives it a negative denotation, right? Almost like in English when we say un. The word un, when you add un to something, it means you're undoing something or it's the opposite of something. And then you have the word meros, a part of share of, properly no share, no part of, lost, forfeiture because not hitting the target, sin in missing the mark. Torah means instruction towards something, and it comes from the root word yara, which means what? What does yara mean? What? Yara is an archery term, which means that you're aiming at a shooting. You're throwing or aiming something, throwing something. Literally means to throw at a target. And Torah is the instruction on how to throw that thing towards the target. Okay. So we get in there. Now we have G93, which we have for all unrighteousness, the word unrighteousness, right? It's the Greek word adikria, which means a feminine noun derived from A again, alpha privative, not, and 1349, dike, which means justice. Properly the opposite of justice, unrighteousness, as a violation of Elohim's standards, justice, which brings divine disapproval. A count, violation of Elohim's justice, i.e. what is contrary to his righteous judgments, what he approves, has to do with not just unrighteousness, but something that's against justice. Right? So, anything that's against justice, the standard of El is what? The Torah. Anytime you go against the Torah, you are opposing his justice, his just nature, his will. So, unrighteousness is anything that goes against that. But you have to know what that standard is in order to be held accountable for it. To a certain degree. Let's move forward. What is sin? Let's look into that. Read that for me, brother.
Everyone who sins.
Everyone who sins.
Breaks the law.
Breaks the law. We got that same word there, G266. Breaks the law. And the word there for breaking the law is anamia. Again, another alpha privative in the Greek. And the word nomos. Nomos means what? Law. So something that is not law or against law. Keep going.
In fact, sin is lawlessness.
Is lawlessness. So when you miss the mark, it is when you're going against the law. But you have to know what the law is. You're not just judged on the law of the land. You judge first by the Torah if you're an Israelite, and then secondarily, how that is in alignment to the laws of the land. Huh? So since this is a theological text, it's in reference to the law of the Most High. So everyone who sins breaks the Torah. In fact, sin is the breaking of Torah. That's all it is. So anytime somebody say what sin is and you want to have an abstract conversation, a philosophical conversation on what it is, bro, just take them right to the text. It tells you what it is. Nomos means law. Or that alpha privative means against the law. That's all it means. That's what sin is. That's how you miss the mark when you go against the law. All right? I said this already. A for not, and nomos meaning law, properly without law, lawlessness. The utter disregard for Elohim's law is written in living word. And we got Matayahu. Some of y'all know this already. 5:17. Do not think I came to abolish the Torah or the Nebaim. Nebaim is what? Prophets. I did not come to abolish but to fulfill. For truly I say to you, until Shamayim and Eretz, which is what?
Heaven and
earth pass away, not the smallest letter or stroke shall pass from Torah until all is accomplished. Now again, everything he taught, they were in alignment with what he taught. So they can't say this unless there's something that he said that was the root foundation of the discipleship teachings. Whoever annuls one of the least of these mitzvot, which is what? Laws, and teaches others to do the same shall be called least in the kingdom of Shamayim. But whoever keeps and teaches, that's what we do here, right?
Yeah.
Keeps and teaches shall be called what?
Great.
Y'all already great. Don't even know it yet. Okay. And the kingdom of Shamayim. For I say to you that unless your Zedek, which is what? What is Zedek?
Righteousness.
Oh, Zedek. Righteousness. Surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of Shamayim. Scribes and Pharisees had the law. How do you exceed their righteousness? You do it. A lot of times the Pharisees would say it and not do it. But there were some that would say it and do it. We have that amongst all people, right? But what he was saying is that he was going against the ones who are hypocritical. They say one thing and do something else. But if you say the law and you do the law, then you're exceeding the righteousness of those who are hypocrites, who are supposed to be the teachers and holders of the law. When you go to John chapter 3, when he's breaking down born again, he was talking to Nicodemus. Nicodemus was what? Pharisees, right? And after during the conversation, he said, aren't you not a teacher in Israel? You don't know these things? That means the expectancy was there was something in the Tanakh that was already the predecessor to what the Mashiach was saying. He wasn't saying anything that was going against Torah or the Tanakh. He said, you don't know, how you not know about being born again and you're a teacher of the scriptures, a teacher in Israel. The Spirit, what is the purpose of the Ruach?
You teaching God the whole truth.
There you go. You go to Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 19. The purpose of the Spirit is so that the laws of the Most High is written in your heart and it empowers you to do the laws. It's written in your heart. Right? So you need to know the statutes, laws, and commandments. It's in your heart, and those who walk in the Spirit walk according to Torah. And then the water is the mikvah, or the washing, because now you're being initiated into a different priesthood. We go to Revelation chapter 1, verses 5 and 6. John is at Patmos, Yachanan at Patmos speaking to Yahushua, and John says he has made us kings and priests, or a kingdom of priests. We go to Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. He says that he's going to make Israel a kingdom of priests. But they already had the Levites there. So how's everybody a priest? Unless there's a transition period where the Levites are put aside, and now all of Israel has to be the priest to go and get the lost sheep. And to wake up and bring righteousness in the name of the Most High into the earth. Let's move forward. Okay. What does that say? Somebody read that for me.
Stop praying for rebellious.
Man, listen, as a Christian, I was told to pray for everybody. Pray for everybody. Just pray for everybody. Just keep praying for everybody, right? But let's see if that, that's funny. Let's see what the word says. Read that for me.
Yirmiyahu.
What is that?
Jeremiah 7:16.
And y'all can read chapter 7 for context. Read.
As for you,
Jeremiah, Most High speaking to Jeremiah.
Do not pray for this.
Wait, hold on. Pray for them.
Do not pray for this people.
Keep praying for them.
Do not pray for this people.
Write a whole book called Lamentations and cry for them.
Do not pray for this people.
Keep going.
And do not lift up cry.
Do not lift up cry or what?
Prayer for them.
Go ahead.
And do not intercede.
Dang, what? Keep going.
With me.
Uh-huh.
For I do not hear.
I don't even hear you. Keep going.
Do you not see what they are?
Wait. Why? Because do you not see what they are doing? Keep going.
In the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem.
There you go. Wickedness, rebellion. We're going to get into that.
Wow.
Don't pray for them. Don't cry or prayer for them. Don't even intercede. But yet, Jeremiah went and wrote a whole book called Lamentation where he just crying for them. It's interesting. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. All right, let's go. Let's keep reading. We next one. Read that.
Yirmiyahu 11 and 13. For your Elohim are as many as your cities, O Judah, and as many as the streets of Jerusalem are the altars you have set up to the shameful thing.
Go ahead.
Altars to burn incense to Baal.
To Baal. Keep going.
Therefore, do not pray for this people.
Hold on. So he tells you why and what circumstances not to pray for them. Keep going.
Nor lift up a cry or prayer for them.
Why?
For I will not.
He ain't going to be able to hear you. Keep going.
When they call to me because of their disaster.
I don't want you to think this is an anomaly or fluke. Scripture says out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word established. So I had to give you 1, 2. Oh, there's a third one. Oh, read that for us.
Yirmiyahu 14 and 10.
I mean, nobody brings these scriptures up to me when they say pray for everybody. Keep going.
Thus says the Lord of his people.
Go ahead.
Even so, they have loved to wander.
They have loved to wander. Loved to wander. Keep going.
They have not kept their feet in check.
Keep going.
Therefore, the Lord does not accept them.
Keep going.
Now he will remember their iniquities and call their sins to account.
Keep going.
So the Lord said to me, do not pray.
Do not pray for the welfare or prosperity of these people. Why would you pray for wicked people to continue to be prosperous? Keep going.
When they fast, I am not going to listen to
When they fast, I'm not going to listen to their cry. Keep going.
And when they offer.
And when they offer what?
Burnt offering.
And what?
And grain offering.
What?
I am not going to accept them.
Scripture is clear. Let's move forward. I'm pressed on time. Oh, wait, hold on. I want to read this. And I put this little footnote here. Sometimes we try to work against the Most High's will out of compassion for others, when in fact we are hindering his judgment for the good.
That's right.
So sometimes the Most High may be working on somebody, and that's why he has to allow certain things to happen to them, And sometimes we pray against his will, and his will is I need to whoop them so that way they can get in order. But sometimes we see the whipping, we want to jump in, no, don't do it, don't do it. And then what we do is that we interfere with the Most High's will in that person's life. This is what he's telling Jeremiah, you're a prophet. Don't intercede. Let me do this work. I got you, and I got them. But they got to be whooped, because look what they're doing. Let's move forward. Who's liable when it comes to being whooped for doing the right or wrong thing? Who's liable? A person. People are liable, right? But in what state, what status, what situation are they liable?
When you know.
Say it loud.
When you know what you're doing and you do it anyway.
There you go. So that means we're not talking about people who did things in the past and they didn't know the truth, they didn't know the law, and they jump into it, and now from that point on, if they continue to do righteousness, the Most High will accept them. But once they jump in and they're born of the Most High, there's certain things you're just not going to do. We're going to see what that is. And now I'll let you know whose seed is who. Right? Because you got the wheat and the tares. You got seeds that fall on certain kinds of ground. We're going to get into this, all right? So the liability is in both cases, whether you know or don't know. But the penalty and repercussions are different from when you know and when you don't know. But you're still going to be judged. Everybody has an innate moral compass on what's right and what's wrong. Everybody has that. That's how societies are built. That's how societies are governed. Because it's always a standard of right or wrong. And the second thing is, you're pricked in your heart when you see the creation to know that something initiated, a causal agent initiated these things to be. So you have the moral compass and you have the acknowledgement of creation. These two things are supposed to drive a person towards the creator. Okay, but we're going to keep moving. Liability, Luke 12:47, the servant who knows the master's will and does not get ready, or does not do what the master wants will be beaten with many blows. But the one who does not know, who's the servant? We serve the Most High, we're children of the Most High. So there's some of us that are consciously awake, some of us that are unconsciously asleep. Right? Okay. It says, but the one who does not know and does things deserving of punishment, because they're still doing wrong, there's no excuse. I can't commit a crime in the street and go into court and say, I didn't know. Can I do that? No. Okay. I got a lawyer back there, got to double check. Can't do that. From anyone who has given much, much will be what? Required. And from the one who's been entrusted with much, much will be what? Asked of them. You see? Let's keep going. What are the different types of sin? And I got to go through this because I want to get to the end. What are the different types of sin? Anybody raise your hand.
Transgression of the law.
Transgression of the law. Okay, what else?
Sins of omission and commission.
Man, that's deep. What's the... You got a minutes of cards, right? All right, so let's make it simple, right? 3 types of sin. And okay, let me make it easy for you. There's 3 tiers of sin. I'll say it like that. What are the 3 tiers of sin? Yes, that's what sin is. But what are different types or levels of sin? Sis, what would you say in the back?
Saying trespass.
Trespass, that's 1. Ignorance, that's 2. What's the third one?
Iniquity,
Iniquity. Intentional or a willful disobedience. That means you premeditated to do it. It didn't just happen. 3. Now, we got a scripture that deals with this. Tehillim 106:6. What is Tehillim? The Psalms. We have sin, chata, like our fathers. We have committed iniquity, abba is the root. We have behaved wickedly, rasha. 3. The psalmist breaks it down. We've done all 3 of these things. We sinned, we committed iniquity, and we behaved wickedly. Right? So let's move forward. Hata means to act ignorantly. It's a sin where you act ignorantly, and that is what requires a sin offering. That's deep. Because you got some messianics that say, oh, well, if you committed a sin, where's your offering at? Well, hold on, bro. Not every sin required a sin sacrifice. And sometimes this is why they had the Day of Atonement, a Yom Kippur, to cover. Kippur, because with kippah, we know what kippah means, to cover. It means to stain, it literally means to stain something with dye so that it covers everything. And that's what the blood did. Every time the priest shed the blood, the purpose of it was to run and to cover the sins of the nation of Israel. Why? Because every person is not going to be able to go and give an offering. So the Most High added a provision so that way everybody would be covered. Now look, acting ignorance, hata, which required a sacrifice. Aban, or abba, we get the root, is a trespass, which means it made you unclean or got you cut off. Okay? And then we have rasha, or another word, pesha. Look that word up. And that means to rebel, and the result is death. H6588 for pesha is death. This right here, there's no sin offering for that. So how can every sin require an offering if some sins called you to be put to death? How does that work? Okay. Did you know David should have been put to death?
Yeah.
Did you know that? For conspiring to commit murder and for committing adultery? That's death. Punishable. That's death. He didn't die. But I'm going to touch on that in my upcoming lecture. I don't want to give y'all too much. Right? But these are the 3 tiers of sin. Let's move forward. I'm going to give you an example of some trespasses. Well, actually, the first one, acting ignorantly. That means you do the wrong thing, you don't know, but when it's brought to your attention, you have to make amends for it. Okay? But then there's trespasses. These trespasses don't all require an offering. Are you hearing what I'm saying? All trespasses don't require sin offering. And sometimes you hear people say this all the time. That means they're not studying the law. Okay, let's move forward. I'm going to read a few of them, maybe about 4 or 5. The scripture says, do not plant a field with 2 kinds of seed. That's it. Don't do it. It doesn't say if you do it, now you're going to get put to death. Where you sacrifice that? That's not what it says. Okay. Do not till the earth or sow the fields in the year of Jubilee. Same thing. We go here. Let me get something. Do not seek after mediums. It's saying don't seek after mediums, but if you seek it after mediums, you're not put to death. But that spiritist or medium is, if they're a child of Israel and they're amongst you. See? See? Do not conceal the fact when someone tries to teach worship of false gods, that's Deuteronomy 13:8. Do not lust after the wealth of false gods. Do not practice astrology. Let's see what else is in here. Do not demand repayment of a loan after the 7th year. There's no sacrifice for that. It just said don't do it. Do not withhold the wages of a hired man beyond the agreed time. You can be judged for that, but there's no death penalty attached to that. So everybody thinks that a sacrifice is supposed to equate from keeping you from putting to death, where every statute is not a capital offense.
That's why they had the Sanhedrin.
There you go, to judge. And the scripture says to set up judges and officials. You need an executive branch, a legislative branch, and what's the third branch? Judicial branch. Okay? A Nazarite must not drink wine or any beverage made from grapes. And if he does, he's unclean. He's cut off. He's not put to death. And there's no sacrifice for that. Are you following what I'm saying? Trespasses is number 2. And that is when you violate a nominal part of the law, the least part that Yahushua says. And when you do that, you're either unclean or you get cut off. Right? You don't have to give a sacrifice and you're not going to be put to death. Are y'all understanding this? So anytime you hear somebody say this, oh, what about all the sins you committed? Where all your sacrifice? But every trespass does not require sin. And now, again, these are things that people know and they do anyway because of a circumstance, right? They break one of these things as a circumstance. And the Most High says, okay, if you do that, you're unclean for a certain period of time. Or you're going to be cut off from the congregation, right? This is important. That's the second layer. Third layer, or even the dietary laws. Do not eat any unclean animal. There's no sacrifice for that if you do. No death penalty if you do. If you eat pork or swine, there's no sacrifice if you do it, and there's no death penalty. I'm not telling you to do it. Most I says don't do it, but again, the repercussion is you're going to be unclean. You understand? You don't need a sacrifice, you're not going to be put to death. Are you following me?
Okay.
Yes?
Awesome.
Do not redeem dedicated property after the specified time. All right? Do not offer the Passover, the Pesach lamb with leaven. Do not bring a financial gain from godship. Do not kill an animal and its young on the same day. It's giving you all these various trespasses. Anybody wants this document, I can give it to y'all, and it lines out for you every statute, law, and commandment. Because we're required to understand and know these things. All right, let's move forward. All right, now let's deal with the capital offenses. Oh, hold on. All right, capital offenses. Somebody name some capital offenses for me. I already have one up there. Somebody name some capital offenses for me. What is a capital offense? Lawyer, what is it? Death penalty, but what is a capital offense as opposed to a standard violation of a statute or a code or ordinance?
It's a more serious offense.
It's a more serious offense, right? According to the eyes of that society, right? So, what are some capital offenses that require death penalty in Torah? Murder. Adultery. Witchcraft. Bestiality. Homosexuality.
Oh, was it a lion prophet or something like that? Did you?
Yeah, but they're not put to death. What you say? Oh, anybody else? Give me one more. Let me go through this.
What about disobedience
Child.
There you go. You get put to death for disobeying your parents. And if you put your hands on your parents, you get put to death.
Yes, right.
Did you hear what I said? Imagine us having a society running on Torah in the black community. I guarantee you, they'll think twice before they touch their parents. It says, do not curse your parents, because if you do, you get put to death. Do not act rebelliously under their household, or they'll bring you before the elders, you get judged and get put to death. It's serious. I guarantee if the children out, the youth out there knew these things, they would respect their parents more, and we wouldn't have all this disorder. This is how the Torah can keep things in check. So let's go through it. Adultery, Leviticus 20:10 and Deuteronomy 22:22 to 23. Bestiality, Exodus 22:19, Leviticus 20:15. Blasphemy, Leviticus 24:16. Keep that in mind, because when I do my future lecture, we're going to touch on that. False witness, Deuteronomy 19, verses 16 to 19. False worship, Deuteronomy 13, verses 6 to 11. Homosexuality, Leviticus 18:22, 20 and 13. Idolatry, right? Idolatry, Leviticus 20 and 2, Exodus 24 and 5. Incest, Leviticus 20, 11 to 12, verses 14, 17, 19 to 21. Insubordination, look that up. Deuteronomy 17, verse 12. Kidnapping, Exodus 21:16, Leviticus 24 and 17. Murder, Exodus 21 and 12, Leviticus 24 and 17. Rape, Deuteronomy 22, verses 25 to 27. Sabbath breaking, Exodus 31 and 14, and Exodus 35, 2 to 3. Witchcraft, Exodus 22 and 18, and Leviticus 20 and 27. These are all capital offenses, and they all require the death penalty. Con? All right, let's move forward. What are the various offerings? We're moving forward. We're almost there, family. What are the various offerings? Y'all should know this. 5 offerings, 5 major offerings. Burnt offering, that's one. Next.
Guilt offering.
What you say?
The guilt.
Guilt offering 2. Sin offering 3. Grain offering 4. That's part of the grain. One more you missing.
Trespass.
No. Yeah. There's one more you missing.
Is it peace offering?
There you go, peace offering. I should. What? You don't need to answer. I know you. I'll call on you for something. All right. So, what are the various offerings? We just said it. Burnt offering, which is olah, and that represented whole devotion to Yah. So, whenever a burnt offering was given, some cases it was required. For example, when a woman's going through her period of purification, after purification is over, if she has a child, she has to give a burnt and a sin offering. I don't have time to go into this right now, but she has to give both. So sometimes a burnt offering has to go along with the sin offering, because the burnt offering means after I've changed my mind away, after I've been purified, now I'm going to dedicate my body or my personage to the Most High. Burnt offering is the offering, the fire consumed the whole offering. There was no piece that consumed the whole offering. So what you're saying is you're allowing the Most High to consume you, and you're dedicating every part of your fiber of your being to the Most High. Con? All right. Then we got the first offering is olah, literally an offering of ascent, commonly called a burnt offering. The purpose of the burnt offering was for general atonement of sin, an expression of devotion towards Elohim. And the only reason why it says atonement of sin is because sometimes a burnt offering was also tied to a sin offering depending upon the offense. The instructions for the burnt offering are given in Leviticus chapter 1, verses 3 to 17. Let's jump down. The burnt offering was likely the earliest type of atonement or devotion in the Old Testament or Tanakh, Job 1 and 5. Job gave a burnt offering. Did you know that? Okay. And Genesis 8:20. Who's in Genesis chapter 8? Noah. He gave a burnt offering, which means devotion, dedication, general atonement, but mostly devotion, dedication. You got it? Okay. Although this does not occur during the worst of Israel's history, Elohim made it clear that he would not accept children as burnt offering, Genesis chapter 22. And the instructions given in Leviticus explicitly limit the type of animals to be offered as burnt sacrifices to only bulls, rams, and birds. Typically, it's bulls and rams are preferred, but if a person is poor, they can't afford that, and they normally get turtle doves or some kind of bird. All right, let's move forward. All right. Next one, grain offering, mincha. Recognizes Yah's goodness, providence, and provision, and this was voluntary. You never heard that term, free will?
Yes.
What is a free will offering? Let's see if somebody here knows. What's a free will offering?
Commanded, it's just given.
Say that again, loud, with confidence.
Oh, it's not commanded, it's just
It is not commanded, but it's given. Once you reach a requirement, you give extra. You ever got a bill in the mail and it says you owe $50 on that bill? And you say, you know what, I want to have it pay this bill down. So what I'm going to do is pay $70. You paid the requirement and then you gave extra. It's voluntary. That's what free will is, voluntary, right? Let's keep reading. The second type of offering in the Old Testament or the Tanakh is the mincha, or grain offering. The purpose of the grain offering was a voluntary expression of devotion towards Elohim, recognizing his goodness and providence. The instructions for the grain offering are given in Leviticus chapter 2. I'm giving you reference to go back and research. It tells you all the things that need to be done, and it says, although the mincha was instructed to be a free will offering of grains, it appears that earlier free will offerings expressing devotion to Elohim and gratitude for his goodness and providence may have also been the first fruits of livestock. It's important. First fruits of livestock. We go to Genesis 4 and 4, we deal with Cain and Abel. But again, that's what the grain offering is. You got also it talks about it being weighed, etc. It goes into it, but read Leviticus chapter 2 to see what the grain offering is, okay? But it's voluntary. Next one. Peace offering. Shalem sounds like what?
Shalom.
Shalom, because it has the same triconsonantal root, which is what? Shin, Lamed, and Mem. Commitment of fellowship with others through consecration of food. And it's required, right, in those instances, and it can also be voluntary. Thanksgiving, when you do a Thanksgiving peace offering, you have to break bread. Okay, Vayikra 7 and 12. Vayikra is what? Leviticus. Sometimes I put these names in here because I want to make sure we on our Hebrew. Okay, all right. The third offering is Shalem, or peace offering. This category first discussed in Leviticus chapter 3. Go back and read it. Including Thanksgiving, free will, wave offerings, right? The offering can be a cattle, sheep, or goat. It can be male or female. The purpose of the peace offering was to consecrate a meal between two or more parties before Elohim and share that meal together in fellowship of peace and commitment to each other's future prosperity. Okay. Remember that. Move forward. Sin offering. Hatah. We've seen that word before, right? Hatah. Offering of atonement for unintentional sin. Contain elements of burnt and peace offerings. Its purpose was to purify one to be clean to come before Yah, and that's required, right? The fourth offering was called Hatah, literally means sin or sin offering. This offering is sometimes, and look, I'll say this again, when you read the book of Cain and Abel, when the Most High says that sin is crouching at your door, right? Its desires toward you, but you should rule over it. See what that word sin means there. It's interesting. This offering is sometimes seen as an offering of atonement for unintentional sins. Leviticus chapter 4. Just read the whole thing of Leviticus chapter 4. Similarly, it is sometimes viewed as guilt offering, removing the consequences for lack of perfection. Again, read all Leviticus chapter 4. As an atonement offering, it contained elements of the burnt offering, yet at the same time had elements of the peace offering. Conversely, some of the sins for which one needed atonement was not moral sins, but rather matters of ritual impurity. As such, some have proposed the term purification offering instead of sin offering. The primary purpose of this offering is not to atone for sin, but rather to purify oneself for re-entering the presence of Elohim. Let's move forward. Right? Last but not least, guilt trespass offering, which is Asham, represents reparation of a debt. It's required. Let's read. The fifth and final offering was the Asham, traditionally translated guilt offering. Unlike the English word guilt, this does not refer to a matter of one's conscience in all cases. Sometimes it did. But rather to something one owes on account of a debt. Not just sin, a debt. Other suggestions for the name of the offering are trespass or reparation offering. Keep this in mind. The purpose of this offering was to make reparations for one's sin. As such, this offering had a specific monetary value, and one who owed another, on account of a debt due to a sin could repay it in silver rather than by sacrificing a ram. In addition, 20% fee was assessed and given to the priest who mitigated the debt. So the priest made money off of that. He was happy when they had guilt offerings. Yo, you got guilt offerings? Come on, let me do it. I'll deal with it. 20% at the door. Let's go. Let's move forward. Somebody read that. We get into a conclusion. Read it.
What offerings did the martyrdom of Yahusha accomplish?
Martyrdom. He willfully gave himself to be crucified. He knew what was happening. You can't be a martyr if you don't know what's about to happen to you. Okay? He shed that blood because he was killed. Right? But he was martyred for his message. But what offerings did that martyrdom accomplish? Because he cannot be somebody who was there to help redeem Israel from their going astray from Torah, not being prepared for the kingdom of Elohim that was coming, and the regathering process. These are all the things that his ministry was to bring people towards, but he also had to fulfill these offerings in order for the Most High to accept his ministry. So, which one of the offerings that we just read? 5 offerings. What is it? Burnt offering. Second one.
Grain, peace, sin, guilt.
So which ones did he accomplish? Which offerings?
Guilt,
You said guilt, trespass. What else? That's it? Just the guilt?
all of them.
All of them.
All of them? Who said that? Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see. Because I got to give you some reference points to that, right? I know what we teach here is the guilt offering. That's number 1. But he also accomplished the rest. Let's see. We're going to see. Somebody read that. Let's see if y'all can pick it up. Somebody read that. Matthew 26 and 26. Loud.
While they were eating, Yahusha took some bread.
Wait, while they were eating, he took some bread. Keep going. Keep going.
And after
And after what?
a
A
blessing,
blessing. Keep going.
he broke it
Uh-huh.
and gave it to the disciples.
Okay.
And said, take, eat, this is my body.
Wait, take, eat, this is my body. So the bread represented his body. We're going to see what he meant by that. Keep going.
And when he had taken the cup
Uh-huh.
and given thanks,
Uh-huh.
he gave it to them,
Saying what?
saying, drink from it, all of you. For this is my blood of the covenant,
Of the covenant, blood of my covenant, what?
which is poured out for me.
Which is shed for many. So the wine represented his blood, his martyrdom, his sacrifice, which was poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. We're going to see what that means initially. We're going to see. So y'all said what? Which offering you think this is here?
Peace.
Peace. That's it? There's another one. There's another one in there.
Grain.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let's move. Wait.
John 6,
John 6:41. Read that.
I am the living
I am the
bread
living bread. Keep going.
that came down from heaven.
Keep going.
If anyone eats of this
Go
bread,
ahead.
he will live forever.
Keep going.
And this bread,
Uh-huh.
which I will give for the life
For the life of the
world,
Go ahead.
is my flesh.
I'm the living bread, and I'm giving this bread for the life of everybody else. I have to give it to somebody. Wait, hold on. I see you get excited. You go to the next one. Luke 22 and 42. Somebody read that.
Saying, Father,
Father,
if you are
if you
willing,
are willing,
remove this cup from me.
go ahead.
Yet not my will,
Yet not my will,
be yours be done.
but yours be done. Another offering. Which one y'all think this is? Keep going. Hold on. Read that one.
Luke,
This is deep. Go in.
Luke 23:33.
Go ahead.
When they came to the place called the Skull,
Golgotha. Keep going.
there they crucified him
Crucified him
and the criminals,
and the criminals.
one on the right and the other on the left.
Keep going.
But Yahusha was saying,
What did he say?
Abba,
Abba.
forgive them.
Why?
For they do not know what they are doing.
Well, hold on. So they put me on this cross, not the cross. They put me on this cross and they sacrificed me. And I'm saying, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. What sacrifice? What offering is that? Ha. Keep going.
And they cast lots,
Cast lots.
dividing up his garments among themselves.
All right, let's keep going. Read that one.
Hebrews 10 and 26.
Says what?
For if we go on sinning willfully,
If we sin willfully,
after receiving the knowledge of the truth,
after receiving the knowledge of the truth,
there no longer remains a sacrifice for sin.
which one is that?
Sin.
Oh, okay, we get there. Come on, next slide. Come on, let's go. Okay, thank you. All right, so let me give you the answer. Watch this. This is good. Burnt offering, grain offering, peace offering, sin offering, and the guilt offering. Read Acts chapter 2. I'm gonna give you something good when you go home. You're gonna be like, man, yo, that was deep. Read that for me.
Acts 2 and 22.
Read.
Men of Israel,
Men of Israel.
listen to these words. Yahusha,
Not Zori, which means the Nazarene. Keep going.
a man attested to you by Elohim,
A man attested to you by the Most High. Keep going.
with miracles and wonders and
Go ahead.
signs which Elohim performed
Through him. He didn't do it on his own behalf. Most High did it through him. Go ahead.
in your midst, just as you yourselves know.
Okay, keep going. So now look. This man was attested by the Most High, which means he was a prophet. He was even called a prophet several times in the Synoptic Gospels. Keep reading.
This man delivered over by the predetermined plan
and
foreknowledge of God,
Elohim.
you nailed to a cross.
Again, that word nailed to a cross is wrong because the text doesn't say nailed to a cross. They translated it wrong. Keep reading.
By the hands of godless men.
Anomos, which means what? We went over that. Anomos means what?
Against the law.
Against the law. People that did something that was against Torah. If you shed innocent blood, that's against Torah. Keep going.
And put him to death.
Okay.
But Elohim raised him up again,
Elohim raised them up again. Go ahead.
putting an end to the agony of death.
Okay.
Since it was impossible for him to be held in its power.
So now we have a grain offering. Why? Because he says that I am what? The bread of life.
Right.
And it was given up to the Most High. Keep reading.
37. Now when they heard
When they heard this, what?
they were pierced to the heart,
Pierced to the heart. Okay.
and said to Peter and the rest of the apostles,
Slow down. Sin offering. Guilt offering. Pierced in their heart. Because they didn't know. Then they told them, listen, you got him killed with lawless men. They said, oh, there's something wrong. Now you need to offer it. Oh. Now you need to offer to atone for that. Huh? Shed innocent blood. Keep going.
and said to Peter and the rest of the apostles,
What?
Brethren, what shall
So
we
they're like,
do?
now what should we do? What does he say?
Peter said to them, repent.
Teshuvah or Teshuvah. I forgot the Greek. Damn, that's crazy because I know it. So I'm telling my son, but keep going.
Repent, each
Uh-huh.
of you, be baptized,
Be baptized and be submerged.
in the name of
And the
Jesus
name,
Christ,
but to say Jesus Christ out, Yahusha
Yahusha.
HaMashiach, or Yahusha Ben Yosef, or Yahusha HaNatzori, for the forgiveness of your sins. So, a sin offering again. Why? The sin offering was also for purification. For an unintentional sin. So you can have a clear conscience before the Most High. I think y'all missing that. So the baptism or submersion was a rite of passage so you could be redeemed from doing wrong. And you got to know the name of the individual who you did wrong. Okay, we go. Okay, I'm going to get y'all there. Verse 39, what does it say?
for the promise is for you and your children,
Keep going.
and for all who are far off.
That's the children is the descendants, which falls on us. Keep good, because because if our forefathers did something wrong, then it can fall on us. All right, keep going.
As many as the Lord our Elohim will call to himself.
Read that.
And with many other words,
Go
he
ahead.
solemnly testified and kept on exhorting them, saying,
what?
Be
Saved
saved.
or be redeemed or set apart from this perverse generation. I got it. And so then those who had received his word were submerged, and that day they were added 3,000 souls. They were continually devoting. They gave a burnt offering. What are you going to see? Themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and the breaking of bread, peace offering, and to prayer. So that means they're giving these offerings up to something or someone. The sin they threw up, the guilt they threw up, the burnt they give up, the peace they give up. All these things is happening now.
Right.
But we're going to see. Keep going. I just put this little thing in here. Pros pagnumi, which means to fasten to. And Devarim, when we go to Devarim 19:21, Devarim 19:10, I should have put 10 before 21. But there's something that's here in the text. It says, thus you shall not show pity, life for life. If you kill somebody, your life is required. If you kill somebody, your life is required. If you kill somebody, your life is required. Are you following me? Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Devarim 19:10, Devarim is what? Deuteronomy. So innocent blood will not be shed in the midst of your land, which Yah, your Elohim, gives you as an inheritance, and blood guilt must be on you. So if you kill somebody, your life is required. But in this case, they got him killed, but what did they do in return? Gave their life a devotion and discipleship. I think y'all missed that. But let's move. Let's move. That's the offering. Let's move. 1 Peter 3:18 says what?
For Hamashiach
Go ahead.
also died for sins once for all.
Died for sins once for all, meaning the children of Israel, right? Keep going.
The just for the
So
unjust,
he was just, the unjust put him to death innocently. Keep going.
so that he might bring us to Elohim,
Go ahead. Because remember, it was a predetermined plan. Keep going.
having been put to death in the flesh,
And made alive in the spirit,
but
in which he what? Went and made proclamation to the spirits now in prison, burnt offering. Because of where he went. Okay, you missed that.
No.
Who once were disobedient when the patience of Elohim kept waiting in the days of Noah during the construction of the ark in which a few, that is 8 persons, were brought safely through water. Corresponding to that, baptism now saves you, not the removal of dirt from the flesh, but an appeal to Elohim for a good conscience, sin offering, purification. After you did something wrong. Now you being baptized, which is the rite of passage, in order for you to be initiated into a process now of being forgiven for your sins. So the people rallied to get this man killed because they thought he committed a crime.
Yeah.
but he didn't. So they put an innocent man to death. When they put this innocent man to death, knowledge was given to them that you did the wrong thing. They said, oh man, what should we do? They had to give an offering, right? And they can't go to the priest because the priests were the ones that conspired to get this man killed. So you need another alternative. So that way you can be redeemed and purified with a good conscience towards the Most High. So that's a sin offering. They got baptized for the forgiveness of those sins in the name of the person who they killed, so they can be purified and have a clear conscience towards the Most High, and they can devote themselves wholly towards his discipleship. Taking his message, bringing it to the four corners of earth, redeeming the children of Israel to regather, go back on the Torah, and what else? The regathering, Torah, and preparing from the kingdom that is to come, which is the Most High's kingdom. So they're giving these offerings up, but you never seen this, but it's there. Keep going. 2 Peter 2 and 4, for if Elohim did not spare the angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell, the word there is Tartarus, or it could be Gehenna. Gehenna was that valley in Heman that I told you about, where they threw refuge at and they burned it. And at times in the past, they also gave child sacrifices there. He always used that as an analogy for what would happen to those who were disobedient. That's important, because the burnt offering had to be consumed with fire. Now you got to see why he went down there. Okay, I think y'all missed that. Keep going.
Delivering them in chains to be held in gloomy darkness.
Chains, remember prison? Chains, hung, go ahead.
Until their judgment. If he did not spare the ancient world when he brought the flood on his ungodly people, but preserved Noah, a preacher of righteousness among them.
So now we see the connection between the two. Okay, let's read the next one. Jude 1 and 6. And the angels who did not stay within their own domain but abandoned their proper dwelling, he keeps under darkness and eternal chains for the judgment of that great day. Again, change, darkness, Gehenna or Tartarus. Keep going. Matthew 25 and 41. Then he said to those on his left, depart from me, you are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for Hashatan and his Melachim and his messengers. Eternal fire. So he went to the prison where the eternal fire and darkness, gloominess is at. So that way he could go and redeem some of the ones who would have repented had they known the truth during the time of Noah, to redeem them and get it out of there. So that means he had to give his whole body to go into a place where he would be wholly consumed but not killed, because the spirit is eternal. So he had to give himself as a burnt offering so he can show devotion to the Most High by redeeming those who would have been innocent had they known the truth. So the Most High also has to give fairness, right? He has to be fair in order to judge. You'll probably get this at midnight, but it's coming, right? Tartarus, send to Tartarus. The New Testament uses it 50-20, Tartaru, for the netherworld, the place of punishment fit only for demons. The demonos is a different word altogether. We're not going to deal with that here. Later, Tartarus came to represent eternal punishment for wicked people. So the chains of the gloominess, of the darkness, of something that is equivalent to being consumed by fire, something that's equivalent to being consumed by fire, right? Guess what? He put himself there. He gave himself a whole sacrifice. He went to a place that should have consumed him, but it didn't. That's why when you hear Peter talking, say, "You will not leave my soul in hell, not leave me to rot or be corrupted, but you will take me up out of there." But the burnt offering had to be given first. To give the message to the people there, then he got to be brought up. Okay. Okay, got 2 more slides left. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. So now once they devote themselves as a commitment to Yahusha, they have to pick up the cross. They know that there's some persecution that's going to come their way and they have to endure it. And not only do they have to do that, they also broke bread with the disciples, giving a peace offering, showing that, yes, we're serious about this commitment for each other's prosperity and to bring this message to the nations. To reach the lost sheep of Israel. All right? Matthew 28:19, therefore go and make disciples. He told this to his apostles before he left, teaching them to obey everything I commanded you, and I am with you always. To the very end of the age, not world, age. Age is ayom, which means a period of time, right? It's a peace offering. Why? Because when he broke bread with them, he entered into a covenant with them. When they drank the wine, it's a covenant. He said, I'll be with you always, because the peace offering is to show a perpetual commitment to the people that you're having that meal with. That's why he had to say this, I'm with you always. Not only did I break bread with you, but I'm going to continuously be with you, which means I'm going to continually fulfill that peace offering. Are you following me? 1 Peter 1:8, for you know that it was not the perishable things, such as silver and gold, that you were redeemed, your offering, right? Because if you committed a sin that costs money, you have to give restitution for that, which is the debt. So in this case, he said it wasn't silver and gold, it was life for life. You killed him, so now you got to give your life back to him. That's why it's not yours anymore. Okay, maybe you'll get it. from the empty way of life handed down to you from your ancestors, but with the precious blood of Hamashiach, precious because he was innocent, a lamb without blemish or defect, which means they used a literary device meaning illusion because he was not a literal lamb. But him keeping Torah perfectly is equivalent to being an innocent lamb that can be used as a sacrifice. It's an illusion, it's a literary device. It's not a literal lamb. I know y'all know that, but some people say, oh, how can you get it? It's an illusion.
Yes.
Look up literary devices, illusion. He kept the law perfectly, so that's why he was the only person at that time that could have been used to help to redeem Israel, because he was innocent from any wrongdoing. He didn't break Torah. Okay, keep going. Literary device, an illusion, is a figure of speech whereby the author refers to a subject matter, such as a place, event, or literary work by way of passing reference. This right here is a passing reference. It is up to the reader to make a connection to the subject being mentioned. So when you know Torah, you know exactly why this was used there, because of the Day of Atonement. And what was used for the Day of Atonement, and for certain sins, you have to give certain offerings. It has to be without blemish or without spot. But every lamb offering was not always a male lamb. Sometimes it was a female lamb or female offering. That's very important. I can't go into that because it connects to the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the feminine principle, feminine aspect, but we deal with that another time. I know it's deep, some of your faces looking perturbed, but it's okay. Let's get through it. 1 Corinthians 6:20 says what? For you have been bought with a price. Guilt offering. You was bought with a price. Life for life. You owed something. You took a life, you gotta give it back. Devotion. This is why when he heard that, he told him what to do. In order for you to be forgiven for killing this innocent man, you have to give an offering. And not only do you have to give an offering to be purified, but you have to give an offering for devotion. Okay, that's why the initial baptism was important. When Peter did it, because what he was doing was helping to redeem the people from shedding innocent blood, so that way the Most High's wrath wouldn't be poured out on them. He gave them an opportunity to be redeemed from that. But you had to give an offering for that to happen. Okay. All right, therefore glorify Elohim in your body. Titus 2:3, Yahushua HaMashiach, who gave himself for us to redeem us. He allowed himself to be offered as a sacrifice, so that way the children of Israel could be redeemed. They shed innocent blood, but he made a pass for them. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, meaning they did it in ignorance. Sin offering. The guilt offering is now that they did give a life, and they noticed that, you got to give your life for a life, all right? From all wickedness, and to purify for himself. Gave himself to redeem, purified for himself a people. Sin offering. Huh? Titus 2:13. Romans 12:1, therefore I urge you, by the mercies of Elohim, to present your body as a living and kodesh, holy, set apart sacrifice, a burnt offering, acceptable to Elohim, which is your spiritual duty of worship, devotion. So Yahushua was not just doing this so people could be devoted to him. He was doing this to bring the message the Most High gave him to bring to the masses, the same way the prophets would. Prophets also give a message. Ezekiel laid on his side twice for Judah and Israel. Why? Because Most High laid the iniquity of the whole nation on him. And if he was obedient, the nation would be spared. And Ezekiel was obedient. That's why he's called the Son of Man, the servant. That's why he's also called a priest in Ezekiel chapter 1 and 3. A priest, Son of Man, a priest servant. That's why the iniquity was able to be laid upon him, because in Numbers chapter 10, the priests were responsible for taking on the iniquity of the children of Israel, and that's why they had to perform every jot and tittle of the law when it came to any fulfillment of Levitical or priestly duties, because otherwise the children of Israel will still have to sin on them. That's why the high priest had to be without spot, without blemish, when he went in once otherwise he dropped dead. Follow me, family, follow me. Burnt offering, let's move forward. What qualified Yahushua to give and take these offerings? Because if he's giving himself, that's one thing. But who's he giving himself to? He didn't give it to a physical priest. Right? No. But the priest may have inadvertently offered him up without even realizing it. See? It works two ways. He got that. Maybe some of y'all get that next time. All right? That's crazy, right? That's crazy, right? Because remember he said the predestined plan, the plan in advance. But being that the Most High knew that if I allow the people to be deceived, they're going to give an offering up and not even realize it, right? Because all offerings are not sacrifices. You got bread, you got animals, you got your life devotion, all sacrifices are not animals. So the priest inadvertently gave a sacrifice to the Most High, they didn't realize it. And number two, he was initiated into the order of Melchizedek as a high priest. And I'm going to show you how. So not only did the priest inadvertently give him up, thinking he was doing the right thing, because they said, suffer for one man to die for the people, then the whole nation to perish. When y'all read that, when I get into my next lecture, it's going to blow your mind. You know why? I'll give you a little tidbit. You know why? Because if somebody is amongst Israel committing a sin, everybody who knows about that sin is guilty. And if they don't offer that person up to be sacrificed, everybody's going to be destroyed. So this is how you have human sacrifice for the atonement of sin in the Bible. Because anytime somebody commits a sin, like Achan, he said, all of Israel has sinned. That's why y'all not being prosperous and beating the enemy. So you got to give him up. And if you give him up to be sacrificed, now remove the sin from Israel. And I'll remove the sin, I'm going to fight on your behalf. But a person has to be sacrificed for everybody to be atoned. So when people say there's no human sacrifice in the Bible, they're not looking at this. I think y'all missed that. But it'll hit you in the morning. It'll hit you in the morning. I guarantee you're going to be like, man, what? Human sacrifice. So that means if a person committed a sin or a capital offense and the death penalty had to be partaken, everybody had to go who knew about it, bring that person up, because if not, that same sin will work on them. They're vicariously sinning because they're not telling everybody this person is sinning, because that caused everybody to fall. So that means the blood is on everybody's hands until that person is dead. So the priest think that this man is committing that sin, he has to die so the whole nation can be atoned for. Y'all missed that. That's why the human sacrifice is always given in that sense. It's not always an animal sacrifice. Sometimes human sacrifice has to be given to atone for sin. For the whole nation of the people. Otherwise, you're all guilty. Okay, that was a snippet. So I'm going to break it down in the next lecture. That's deep. You'll get it. Psalm Tehillim 110:4 says, Yah has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek, which means that the Most High set a precedent. That means whoever's initiated to this priesthood is going to priest forever even after you die. Ooh, that's deep. Let's move. Mark 1:9. In those days, Yahushua came from Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by Yochanan in the Jordan. Immediately coming out of the water, he saw the heavens opening and the Ruach like a dove descending upon him, and a voice came out the heavens, you are my beloved Son, and who in you I am well pleased. You know, people say, well, I don't hear the Most High speaking in the New Testament. He just said, you are my beloved Son, in you who I'm well pleased, because we're going to see the same phrase. Where else? Where else do we see this phrase at? Is that in the Tanakh? Is that in the Tanakh? Because if this is in the Tanakh, that phrase is in the Tanakh, that means whenever it's spoken from the heavens, from the Most High, that means it's equated to the Most High speaking to somebody. Okay, you're going to get that. In you, I am well pleased. The rite of passage initiated. Because Yochanan was a Levite. Did y'all know that? His father was a Levite. He was a Levite. So only Levites can initiate you into a priesthood. Only a priest can initiate another priest into a priesthood. And if a rite of passage for that is a mikvah, which they would do in the Quran community, what the Levites would do is they would submerge somebody in water to initiate a person of Israel coming into the community, and then they would have priestly duties. So, yeah, this is deep. The Quran community set up a whole system because they thought that the temple was corrupt and the priesthood was corrupt. So they set up their own system in the wilderness, and one of the ways of mikvah, because anytime a priest can perform a duty in the temple, he has to wash first.
That's right, that's right.
And that washing is number one, not physical getting off the filth of your flesh, but as a conscience towards the Most High. Remember we read that? Yeah. He's giving an offering. You don't even see that. And not only is he doing that, now he is initiated. Anytime any priest was consecrated, he first had to be washed. So a Levite initiated him into the priesthood, and not only that, a voice came to confirm that, and the Ruach came on top of that, because when he received the Ruach, remember what the Ruach does? It writes the law in your heart. That means you have to live in Torah and teach and talk and live Torah. That's all he did. That's why you get Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 and on. That's why he had to say what he said, because he had to let you know that the Spirit is in me. And how do you know? I'm telling you to keep the law. Okay, look, somebody got it. Somebody got it. Thank you. Glad I'm getting there with y'all. Right? And when you look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, 11Q13, look at the Melchizedek scroll. A priest from the order of Melchizedek had to rise out of the nation Israel to redeem Israel from their going astray or from their sins before the Most High can return and fight against his enemies. This is why you are a priest after the order of Melchizedek links with Dead Sea Scroll 11Q13, the Melchizedek scroll, because this is building off of this, and the Most High put this provision here because he know the priest will go astray, so he had to give an alternative. I got you. He had to give an alternative in order to help redeem Israel, right? Because they went astray. Their sins is they're going astray, not your personal sin, but breaking Torah, right? Going after the other nations, doing the laws and customs and traditions of man. He had to get the people away from that and bring them right back to Torah. That's why when he was talking to the people and he said to them, He said, no one can get to the Father but by me. You know what he meant by that? Watch this. No, what he meant, the people he was talking to were the same people that conspired to kill him. So the only way they can be reconciled back to the Most High is that they had to get those offerings I just showed you, which is repentance, pricking their heart, baptism, so that way they can be removed from that sin and they can get back to the Most High. You can't shed innocent blood and think you're going to go and talk to the Most High. That's why that had to happen. Wait, it's coming, it's coming. Y'all, follow me, y'all. You're almost there. I know it's a lot, I know, but I'm pressed on time. I'm trying to question you. Next lecture, I'm going to go in on it. Y'all sleep though. Now look. Hebrews 5:5 is the confirmation. Read that for me, brother. My voice is getting hoarse.
So also Hamashiach did not glorify himself so as to become a high priest.
Okay.
But he who said to him.
Slow down. So now he didn't initiate himself. Okay, read. Because remember, when he went to John, he said, yo, John, you got baptized. John said, well, hold on, bro. What? I can't baptize you. He said, suffice it to be so. You don't understand. There's something going on that's greater than you, my brother. And if you don't do this, your life is in jeopardy. All right, keep going, read.
You are my son. Today I have begotten you.
When you go into Hebrews 5:5, somebody get that for me real quick. See if there's a cross-reference to see where this verse is at. This is the Most High speaking. Whenever this phrase is mentioned, we see it where else? We see it here. You are my beloved son, and you are well pleased. I've begotten you, meaning that I have chosen you, or monogenes, which means I have took you and set you apart. Not that only begotten, but you are unique and distinct because I'm going to use you to do something that nobody's ever seen before. It's a difference. But it says, read the rest of it.
Just as he says, also in another passage, you are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek.
So when he's begetting somebody, in this phrase, he is also doing what? Initiating them into the priesthood. So you know when this phrase is given from heaven, somebody's being initiated into the priesthood. That's why nobody ever knew why the Most High had to speak to confirm. What he was telling you is that this is somebody that I'm initiating to this new priesthood, because when that temple's destroyed and y'all scattered, you're going to need a new priesthood order. Because y'all ain't going to know who the Levites are. Okay, y'all getting it. Keep going. Read 7.
Verse 7. In the days of his flesh, he offered up both prayers and supplications with loud crying and tears to the one able to save him from death. And he was heard because of his piety.
Piety means, they say it's religious, but it's when you keep things to the T that's required of you, rituals, etc. Keep going.
Although he was a son, he learned obedience from the things which he suffered.
He had to suffer to learn how to be obedient. You know how deep that is? I don't think you know how deep it is. It's people say that he was God walking on the earth. If he's God walking on the earth, why he had to learn obedience and by suffering? Why he had to learn something?
That's right.
It's deep, but you're gonna get it. Keep reading.
And having been made perfect.
Slow down. Be made perfect. You know why? There's something called asceticism, which means when you sacrifice your fleshy carnal desires for the purpose that's set before you. Monks do that, right? You know when Shaolin monks, that's what they do. They keep themselves away from anything of the world that may stain them from their walk. Some priests do that, friars or whatever, when they're in those remote islands, they're trying to keep themselves from the things that can draw them astray. So keep going.
He became
perfect. So when they say perfect, that means he just kept the law. And he had to suffer to be obedient towards the law. So sometimes if we're struggling, it's because we're not suffering. Suffering is not a bad thing. There's joy in it. Why? Because when you're going through it, you're not looking at the circumstance, you're looking at the intended purpose, the end results. See, a lot of times when we're going through something, we only focus on what's going on immediately. We don't see why it's happening. Where is it taking me to? What level I'm going to go after this? Okay. Somebody's going to get that. The midnight hour. Your bed's going to ride on shake in the midnight hour. You're like, oh, that's what that is. Epiphany going to drop right on you. It says what? He came to all those who what?
Obey him. And the source of eternal salvation.
Eternal salvation, again, it's not the Christian concept of salvation. It's redeeming the children of Israel so they can be prepared for the kingdom to come. Because the regathering has to happen before the Most High comes back. Purification has to happen before the Most High comes back. The law in your hearts. When you're being born again, the law in your hearts and the mikvah to wash and to initiate you in his new priesthood. So he actually became a high priest when these two things happened from these two precedences, and looking at DSS 11Q13, and all of this lets us know that being designated by Elohim as a high priest according to the order of Melchizedek, which is the right of patches confirmed and acknowledged not just by those who was there immediately, but after his demise, other people saw the connection and they understood what was going on. Now, being in the order of Melchizedek as a high priest, now he's able to give sacrifices. Now when the people say, man, you know, we did something wrong, and they go through the rites of passage or whatever, they're giving that in his name, so that he takes that and say, yo, Father, here you go. There you go, they're good. They're good now. I think y'all missed that, right?
Yeah.
Giving himself up.
Yes.
When he gave himself up, when he got up there, he said, look, remember that thing that I did? That's the offering. Here you go. Here's another offering. Give him another offering to them. Are y'all feeling me?
Psalms
Okay.
2:7 is what
Yeah, there you go. Psalm 2:7.
Yes.
Now, why is all this important? Let's go back to the first scripture that I said, because I'm done after this, and then I'll open up the floor for about 5 more minutes. What's the first scripture I gave y'all? Because once you read it again, it's all going to make sense. Read the first scripture I gave y'all.
Yes, if any man see his brother sin,
If any man sees his brother committing a sin, what?
a sin which is not unto
That
death,
doesn't lead to death.
he shall ask,
Uh-huh.
and he shall give him life,
And Elohim will give him life. The one who is committing this, going astray, which Yahusha did. Keep going.
for them that sin
Not leading unto death,
not
right?
unto death.
Go ahead, go ahead.
There is a sin unto death.
Uh-huh.
I do. Let's see.
I do not say that he should make a request for it.
Yeah.
Acting rebelliously. That means once you commit this act, it becomes a mindset. You become retrobated and you only focus on that. When somebody comes to the knowledge of truth, not those who had a past coming into the truth. The past is washed away. Now you're getting another chance to start your credit over again. But if you come into the truth and you commit these acts, it's a difference. Meaning that nobody's absolved from sin altogether, but there are different types of sin. If you commit something ignorantly, you can be forgiven. If you disobey all those trespasses we saw in Torah, you good. But if you commit a capital offense, those who are born again of El, it's not going to commit the capital offenses. Because the Spirit is in them to keep the law, and they're going to refrain from those things that lead unto death, the death penalty. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Hope y'all getting this.
Yes.
Yes.
You got it? We know that no one who is born, remember the Spirit and the water?
Yes.
The mikvah is the water, the rite of passage, the initiation. The Spirit is the ruach to bring the law and write it on the flesh of your heart, right? The fleshy heart. And he says, but he who was born of Elohim keeps him. Why? Because you keep my commandments. Most I said, if you keep my commandments, I will keep you. And the evil one can't touch you. You know why? Because a line is drawn and you're within the boundaries of the kingdom of Elohim. See, when you're telling people the kingdom of God, kingdom of Shamayim, whenever you keep the Most High's commandments, guess what? You're in the kingdom. So anytime the enemy tries to encroach upon that kingdom, he has to ask permission. Because he's in territory that's not part of his jurisdiction. That's why he can't touch you if you keep the law. He may try everything else. You may think he has a hand, but the purpose of that is to bring you to your expected and to raise you up above not only that circumstance, but also to be a witness against the kingdom of darkness.
Yes.
Just by little things that happen in your life. That's why when you suffer and you're obedient, he gets you through it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to read this last one for you and we go home. Everyone who sins breaks the law. In fact, sin is breaking the law. So you can break the law in various ways, but there's nominal sins and then there's capital sins. So if you're born again, you're not going to commit those capital sins. Therefore, I can pray for you. But if you come into the knowledge of the truth, right, and you commit a capital offense and knowing it's wrong, I can't pray for you. I got to stay away from you. Let the Most High deal with you.
Right.
Did you hear what I said? Because those are going directly at the heart or the root of his foundational kingdom. He can't let you stay in the kingdom and you commit capital offenses. Small offenses is good. Somebody can intercede, get you on the right path. If you say anything, Most High got you. But capital offenses, we're not going to do. So that's what it's saying. When you're born of El, you're not going to commit capital offenses.
No.
But other trespasses you may. And it's good. We all break those capital ones. I mean, those nominal ones. But how many of y'all are continuously breaking those capital ones?
Speeding ticket versus rape.
Right? There you go. Speeding ticket. You get a ticket, you pay the fine. You rape somebody, you going to jail. You kill somebody, you going to jail. You commit a grand felony as far as, huh?
But we're not under the law.
Who said that to you?
A liar.
People say we ain't on the law, but we got John telling you, yo, if you sin, you're breaking the law. And he just said, yo, if you're born of Elohim, you don't sin, and sin is breaking the law. That's what it is. It's not just the 10 Commandments. You know, people say that, the 10 Commandments, that's it. Right? That's done. That's nailed to the cross.
Nailed to the cross.
But for the children of Israel, we have to keep it perpetually because that's part of the covenant that we enter with the Most High. The Gentiles or the Goyim, on the other hand, is a different scenario because they're not required to keep Torah. It's a free will offering. That's why they made the Noahide laws. Look up the Noahide laws, and it's the basic things that Gentiles have to keep to be righteous before the Most High. And on top of that, if they want to keep Torah and dwells amongst you, now the Most High is going to count that as something extra on their behalf because they don't have to do it. But He made a provision for them to do it, and now they're giving a free will offering voluntarily. It's deep. You'll get that one day, but they have to sit on the Israelite. No, people don't like that. They don't like that. But you got to show me somewhere in the scriptures where it says, well, actually, it says, don't take a king or a ruler from another nation and set him over you.
That's right.
So why are we putting those people in our congregations and set them over us? Why are we sitting under them when they should be sitting under us?
That's right.
It's okay for us to sit under them and teach us, but the moment we say, no, you got to sit under us, well, hold on, man. Nah, we ain't going to do that. What? You some of you Israelite? Nah, man, the law's done away with. What are you talking about? So again, the sin that leads unto death is what? What's the sin that leads unto death?
Adultery.
Capital offenses, right? Because you'll be saying that all day, I know. And the ones that don't lead unto death is what? Nominal or the trespasses. Misdemeanors. There you go. I suppose felonies. Is that not simple? All you gotta do is look at the law and you get it. Yahushua understood it. He had to give this offering so that the people can come into the knowledge. The reason why he had to give these offerings and so that way he can get them back on the right track. Because they was going astray. So now his objective is to get you back on Torah. People say, man, he added to the law. No, he didn't. The Gospels and the rest of the Brit Hadashah is not the law. The law trumps everything that's in it. It's complementary to it, and he gives exposés or expositions on what's in the law. Meaning that he's giving you wise counsel instructions, the same way you would see from the Talmud. When you look at the Mishnah and the Talmud, it's various rulings. Then you have the Gemara, that commentary on the ruling, and the Talmud is the overall arching that deals with all of that as a whole. But Talmud is not equal to the law, but it's explaining parts of the law that you may overlook or may not have an understanding of. Same thing Yahushua does. He was a teacher of righteousness, and when you study the Dead Sea Scrolls, you know what that means. And because of such, his followers understand, wow, the Most High sanctified him to be a priest after the order of Melchizedek. He made all of us priests, thereby completing Exodus 19:6. Last verse. Exodus 19:6 is what? He's going to do what to the children of Israel? Make them a kingdom of priests. But he can't do that unless there's another priesthood, because when the Levites are fully active, everybody can't be a priest. But the Levites have been deactivated for a period of time until he restores everything and brings the priesthood back, the Leviticus priesthood back. There's another priesthood there that has to operate in order to bring the children of Israel back into the fold, empower them on the knowledge of Torah and their new purpose and intent, which is to announce the kingdom and then go reach the lost sheep and to preach righteousness and hold the standard for the Most High to all the ends of the earth. And with that, I say thank you, family, for listening. I know it's a lot. Recorded. I want to say peace, shalom. I love y'all. I don't know what Minister Carnes is at, but if you want to close out, yeah, there you go. Huh? What question? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Want to close out first?
Yeah, close. There you go. All right.
Well, hallelujah. Another powerful lecture from Brother Ron. The part I like about it is just the practicality of it all. That's why I said if you get out of a Hellenized European mindset and get to your indigenous Hebraic African mindset, you see how the law, it was actually the nation of Israel. It was like they was actually ruling over themselves. So even during the time periods when Yahushua was getting questioned about the Pharisees, they wasn't talking about no theological thing trying to say, oh, well, you know, he's a bad person. They were trying to set him up, because if you break the Shabbat, that is a capital punishment by death. And you had to go through the Sanhedrin. So it's just beautiful. Just beautiful, beautiful. I bet you, how many people when he said bear false witness, y'all thought about lying?
Uh-oh. That's good.
I'm working on your mindset.
They missed that.
Bearing false witness is practical. It's perjury in court.
That's it.
What did Rahab do?
Yeah.
But if I purge somebody in court, that can, if I'm pretty much saying Ron committed some capital crime in court, and I'm lying and taking a stand, I can potentially be putting him to death.
There you go. And guess what? Then you got to be put to death.
Exactly. If I bear false witness.
There you go.
It's just the practicality of the Torah. It's not, everything's not theological and abstract and pie in the sky. Everything is very practical, because we are not a religion, we are a nation. We are a culture. Every culture has a spiritual system. This is our spiritual system, but this is still, well, the spiritual system, the legal system come with the culture. So that was a beautiful lecture. I'm just going to close y'all out, and then we can go into some question and answers.